Good evening. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all very much for making the time to come out and listen to the bond item for the town hall. We appreciate you all's coming over and submitting your input on it. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and as we go along, I'll be stating a couple of items for housekeeping. So if anybody needs to use the restrooms or whatnot, they're right behind you. Aside from that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Agenda item. Today's the Town Hall meeting of the San Benito CISD Board of Trustees, Monday, October 15th, 2018. It is 6:35 p.m. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Michael Vargas, Angel Mendez, present. Ms. M.L. Garcia,
Present.
Ms. Sonia Weaver,
Present.
Ms. Janie Silva,
Present.
Mr. Orlando Lopez,
Present.
Mr. Victor Rosas,
Present.
Dr. Nate Carmen, Mr. Tony Torres. Item number 3 is the presentation on the bond election 2018 by Ms. Rendon.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Hilda Rendon. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operation. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do the presentation. Dr. Carmen apologizes he couldn't be here tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather, and we don't want to contaminate anybody. So I'll do the presentation, and we'll go through the slide. This is our second town hall meeting, and afterwards we're going to have some Q&A and take some comments from the audience. I'm going to start off with the San Benito Schools going out for a bond here coming November 2018. Am I reading? Okay, Peggy. Oh no, it's for short. I have the written one. The bond election will be held on Tuesday, November the 6th, 2018. The school board election is a bond issued by a public school district, typically to finance building projects or other capital improvements. This proposed bond election is estimated to cost approximately $40 million. The taxpayers will not experience an increase in taxes, due that the district is paying off one bond this year, so we would be replacing this new bond with the same taxes. The tax rate will remain at $1.30 and 49 per $100 valuation. My co-host is going to say this in Spanish, so.
Buenas tardes. La elección de bonos será el martes 6 de noviembre de 2018. Una elección de bonos escolares es una emisión de bonos realizada por un distrito escolar público, generalmente para financiar un edificio o proyecto u otro proyecto de capital. Se estima que la propuesta de elección de bonos costará aproximadamente 40 millones. Los contribuyentes no experimentarán un aumento en los impuestos debido a que el distrito pagará un bono este año. La tasa de impuestos permanecerá en $1.30 por cada $100 de evaluación. Para sumarizar esto, no habrá aumento de impuestos.
Oh, sorry about that. What we're proposing in the bond is 3 projects, starting off with a performing arts center. This performing arts center is approximately between 30 and 31 million, and it will house some of the fine arts events that we currently have, one-act plays, items of sort in there so that we can have a large enough place of meeting for the public. Second item is a multi-purpose facility. This is an indoor facility that can be used by athletes as well as other UIL participants, cheerleading, volleyball, soccer. In items like this where the weather is a little cloudy, we would take the athletes or whoever's competing, even band, into an indoor facility and be able to do the practice in there. This is between $3.5 and $4 million. The third item is the aquatic center. They're known as a swimming pool. And this item is between 5 and 5.5 million. In this one, we want to have curriculum based under curriculum, such as propose that all the second graders in the district would be able to learn how to swim. We would bus them in, so that would be a curriculum-based, as well as this would have competition, swimming. It would have a diving events. So this is another event that could be brought in for our students.
Las propuestas del distrito son las siguientes. Un centro de artes escénicas de un costo aproximadamente de 30 a 31 millones de dólares. Instalación deportivas multiuso con un costo de 3.5 a 4 millones de dólares. Y un centro acuático con un costo aproximadamente de 5 a 5.5 millones de dólares.
This is a little bit more information on the fine arts proposal. It is climate controlled. It should be for gathering higher academic achievement, a place of expression for the arts, community activities. It also would lend from the orchestra to the classical guitar, theater, and flamenco. The service will accommodate them all, as well as gathering place for the district workforce. Currently, what we're doing in this is we're gathering it such in a cafetorium, and we're putting on events. We're putting on events during the mid-year. We're putting on events at the end of the year. So we want a facility for our students to be able to gather in a place, and also whole district, such as one-act play performances, invite other districts so we can have one common place without interrupting the instruction that's going on or the events at a certain cafetorium as such.
Más información acerca del Centro de Artes Escénicas. Un centro de artes escénicas
That's me, sorry.
crea oportunidades sinérgicas entre los extraordinarios programas de arte de las escuelas de San Benito y la comunidad en general, para entrar y utilizar las instalaciones escolares. Le da a las artes una avenida conducente para producir actuaciones notables, desde orquesta y guitarra clásica hasta teatro y flamenco. Esta instalación acomodará a todos, además de ser un lugar de reunión para el personal del distrito a final de año, durante el año o en cualquier época del año. Será de gran beneficio para estudiantes y para todo el personal.
Our multipurpose indoor facility, again, it's for the athlete as well as other facility uses, from soccer to events to your cheerleaders to your drill team. Anybody that would need an indoor covered area to do their practices. It also would include, we're trying to bring in softball, where they would have some pitching areas or hitting areas. I'm not too much in the baseball, but in the areas that they can be used. One of them is, if you all have band members or even the athletes, we start off practicing almost in the dead summer days. Those would be July and August. So we're providing a climate covered area with the amenities that some protection against the sun and other climate areas, such as if it's raining or have thunder or lightning out there.
La instalación deportiva multiuso. Para un atleta, el mayor atractivo de una instalación cubierta es la calidad de la superficie de juego y el ambiente. Los atletas no estarán sujetos a superficies de juego irregular ni a condiciones meteorológicas extremas, como la lluvia o el frío, que pueden impactar su juego en el caso de que jueguen al aire libre. Una instalación interior de alta calidad es totalmente más atractiva para los atletas que los complejos al aire libre, especialmente en los deportes juveniles y de preparatoria. Todos los atletas quieren sentirse como profesionales. Nada hace que un atleta se sienta como un profesional más que jugar en el interior en césped artificial.
Our third item, as we discussed, is the Aquatic Center, and that's an indoor pool, opens the door to sports opportunities that can be enjoyed throughout the year without worrying about the adverse weather conditions. Curriculum for second graders will teach them water safety throughout the district. In addition to regular physical education classes, students can enjoy extracurricular activities such as competitive swimming and water polo. An indoor swimming pool at the school provides a low-impact alternative to students who may have health issues and can't participate in running or outdoor activities.
El centro acuático, una piscina interior, ofrece oportunidades deportivas que se pueden disfrutar durante todo el año sin preocupaciones por las condiciones climáticas adversas. Además de las clases regulares de educación física, los estudiantes pueden disfrutar de actividades extracurriculares como natación competitiva y waterpolo. Una piscina cubierta en la escuela ofrece una alternativa de bajo impacto a los estudiantes que pueden tener problemas de salud y no pueden participar en carreras u otras actividades al aire libre.
These are the San Benito Bond Committee members. The trustees appointed a bond committee responsible for recommending proposed projects, and the school board recently called for the board election. These individuals, I want to say thank you for participating. They have met several times, and then they narrowed down all of the needs into what the bond could afford or cover. These three items are, we have additional needs. It's just these three items is what we could focus on with the $40 million that we had allocated without raising the taxes. So I want to say thank you, have the school district, for that participation. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Rendon, and thank you, Dr. Peña. Next item on the agenda is the discussion on bond election 2018 by Mr. Dustin Traylor.
But I can summarize if you want.
Maybe a little bit here and there.
Okay.
Good evening. Can you hear me? I'm Dusty Traylor. I'm a managing director with RBC Capital Markets. We have the honor and privilege of serving the district as the district's financial advisor on bonds. And one thing I would like to point out as it relates to bonds and a bond election is this. A bond election is the district basically putting forth a question before its citizens and voters, asking for your permission to go out and take out a loan. A loan similar to if you or I were going to go to the bank to take out a loan for a home mortgage or an auto loan, things like that. The $40 million is the principal amount of the loan, and we'll get into some of the details on the estimates for the loan going forth. But I want to kind of walk you through some of the bond finances related to the district as we go along here. As you see right here, the district this is the district's current outstanding bonds. We've listed them here up at the top of the page. The district currently has 5 outstanding series of bonds with principal amount outstanding totaling about $65 million. And I'll point out, the thing that I want to point out, and I think it's very important for citizens to understand, is currently in 2018, the district's annual payments are roughly $8 million per year, if you see that on that bar chart. I hope you can make that out. But what we see here is on the existing bonds, the district's annual debt service requirements are scheduled to drop by approximately $2 million per year to about $6 million. And what that comes from is back in 1998, the district took out a bond. That 1998 bond's natural payoff date occurs in 2018. Now that bond is now embedded as part of the 2014 bond, but that's where that drop comes from. The district took out bonds in 1998. and now they're going to pay off on their natural payoff date. So that's where that comes from. And that is essentially how we're able to go out, and that's part of the reason we're able to go out and issue $40 million of new bonds without incurring an increase in the tax rate. This next slide is a graphical depiction of a couple of things. One, it has a graphical depiction of the district's tax base, the value of all the property located within the district, businesses, homes, things like that. And that has seen a little bit of a natural increase over the course of the past 10 years. The other thing that I will point out on the far right, the graph here, this graph graphs the district's property tax rates dating back over the past 10 years. And the thing that I will point out is that that property tax rate has not increased over the course of that 10 years. The district has operated schools, paid its debt service during that time frame within the same parameters of local tax rate that they have all throughout the years. They haven't increased the taxes. I live in San Antonio. I wish I could say the same for my local district. The chart here basically just shows the existing debt service followed by the estimated new bond debt service. If you'll see here, the dark blue is this is the top graph I'm pointing to. The dark blue is the debt service on the existing bonds, and that lighter shade of blue is the estimated debt service on the new proposed $40 million bond issue. And what you see there is what the district is going to do is basically structure this to try to maintain that $8 million of annual debt service payments for a few years, and then it will actually start to decrease after a few years, just like the other bonds did. But the thing that I really want to point out here is, it starts here, and we'll get to it on the next page. San Benito CISD is considered a property poor district by the Texas Education Agency. And the Texas Education Agency provides state funding subsidy assistance for schools designated as property poor. The state pays for a significant portion of the debt service on San Benito CISD bonds. So that is what is depicted here in the graph at the bottom. Okay, the dark blue is the local share, and then I'm sorry, the dark blue is the state share, and then the light blue is the local share. And what you'll see there is that the state is actually paying a significantly large portion of this debt service. Actually, it's estimated at over 50%, and that's the historical average for the district. Right now, we estimate that San Benito CISD receives approximately 60 to 65% of a subsidy for the annual debt repayments that are occurring. And so that, you combine those two things. You combine the drop in the annual payments on the outstanding bonds, combined with state assistance also for the new bonds, and we're able to maintain that INS tax rate. And this next slide, you guys probably cannot make that out from where you are, but what I will point out to you is that these middle three columns are the debt service on the proposed $40 million of bonds. And yes, that proposed $40 million of bonds does have an estimate interest in it. I mean, if I go to the bank or you go to the bank, they're going to charge us all interest when we take out a loan. So when we ran the debt service on this $40 million, the total actually sums up to a little bit more than $75 million. However, by the time we account for that state funding that the district expects to receive on these bonds overall, we actually estimate that the district's local share on these bonds will be just over $29 million. So what we're talking about here is taking out a loan for $40 million and actually having the local taxpayers repay plus or minus about $30 million of that loan. So that again is what helps us to be able to do this without increasing the INS tax rate. This next slide we really don't need to get into too much, other than it does point out the early voting dates for the bond election, and I'll point those out to you. Early voting for this bond begins actually just next week, next Monday, October 22nd and runs through October 31st, with Election Day occurring on November the 6th. And that's my portion of the presentation. Thank you. I don't usually get applause when I talk about fun things like numbers, so thank you.
In closing in our part, then we're going to go into comments from you. The election is November 6, 2018, and the polls will be open between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. We do have early voting. La elección, I moved it. La elección va a ser el 6 de noviembre del 2018. Ese es el día de elección de las 7 de la mañana a las 7 de la tarde. These are the early voting locations, and because it's a general election, we do have different places and the times. This is posted on our website. Welcome to go in there and look at it. We've added one particular extra, which would be here at the high school library on the first week. I think here we have the 22nd through the 26th. The polling areas, if you work in Harlingen, there is some opportunities also to vote in Harlingen for the San Benito. When you do your registration, you go in there and they'll give you what you're allowed to vote on. Estos son los días y las horas de la elección de votación early. Temprana, ok. Y las elecciones, todas esas cosas, esta información está posted en el website, en la primera página de la escuela, through the website. And I think here's the polling places. So all this information is listed, and also if you need specific, you're welcome to call our office, and we'll direct you to the proper location. Thank you.
Before we begin our next item, I'd like to just extend the invitation for anyone that would like to speak to do so. But one of the items that we want to make sure is that we do discuss only items regarding the bond. So with that, I'll go ahead and go on to the next item of the agenda, which is the audience input, interaction, and bonds election. If we have anybody to come up and have any comments, please do so at this time. Please state your name, and you may proceed with your questioning. Thank you, sir.
My name is Murray Thompson, and I'm just curious where y'all derive the estimates of the construction for this bond issue.
We've taken these preliminaries from other projects that have been done throughout the valley or in other areas. We do have 3 architects that are on, we have access to them. So we've been looking, we also use the state values. So these are estimates that we're using. Haven't been, the plans and so forth have not been finalized.
On a bond election, let's assume that the $40 million issue is passed, but when everything's designed and the bids come in, say at $30 million, and there's an extra $10 million left over, doesn't a bond issue have to state what the money is going to be spent for?
Yes, sir.
So if it came in at $30 million, y'all wouldn't spend the other $10 million, is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is, I would say it would be unauthorized.
Mr. Don, can I refer that question to Mr. Torres?
It's actually going to be on the ballot, what it's going to be used for.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
It's actually going to be on the ballot, what it's going to be used for. Not project specific, but it is going to be on the ballot. The ballot's already been approved, it's been sent to Cameron County,
So there's more than these 3 projects in the bond issue?
No, sir. The three architects that Ms. Rendon mentioned are ERO architects, GENAC, and GMS architects, and they're the ones who provided the estimates for those 3 facilities. Those are the 3 that are on rotation.
Who was the first one you named?
ERO Architects.
okay, all right.
GenAC
Yes, I know,
Architects.
I heard the
and-
other two.
And GMS.
Yes, sir, okay. So I'm not understanding the response.
One thing I would point out is, if this is on. One thing that I would point out is the $40 million figure, that's the maximum principal amount that the district can issue. They cannot issue more than that. And there's nothing that mandates that the district issue all $40 million of that. So if the district gets back estimates that provide for these projects to be constructed at a dollar amount less than the $40 million, there's nothing that says that they have to issue all $40 million.
And all the monies aren't going to be issued at the same time. I think that's.
All the
also
money
in
what?
the trailer. The money, go ahead.
It is currently estimated that not all of the monies will be issued at one time. We're actually currently looking at issuing approximately $30 million in 2019, with the remainder following in 2020. So as we go along, if it's determined that the district can accomplish all of the projects without needing all $40 million, the district doesn't have to issue all $40 million.
Okay, well, I was of the understanding that Dr. Carmen said if the 3 projects came in under 40 million, the other money would be used for upgrades at other schools. Is that not correct?
By law and by what's on the ballot, I believe what is on the ballot does allow for the district to potentially use those funds for other capital improvements, but it has to be a capital improvement in nature. It cannot be for salaries, things like that, but it would have to be
Right.
for some other minor improvements.
So
And
the
likely that
ballot
would
is,
be-
the ballot is going to list other capital improvements or the possibility of other capital improvements.
The ballot uses generic language that talks about
Right.
purchase of equipment and things like that. That's a state law requirement, and that's what's on the ballot.
Okay, so the intent of the school district, as I understand it then, is probably to use the whole 40 million? Is that correct?
One of the things when our bond committee set forth, one of the items that they said is they wanted to build the fine arts to occupy as many people as possible, which could be up to 1,800. When we looked at the numbers, that raises up the price. So in essence, it was looking at, let's price out the other 2 items and see how much is left in order to utilize that money for the fine arts and get as much as we could with the remaining amount.
Okay, that's fine. Can I ask one other question? Do y'all have a location for these 3 projects?
We have possible, the board has not selected which area. There's a possibility of locations. The indoor activity or the multipurpose building, it would be located here on the high school grounds, right behind the stadium, the scoreboard. There's some land that's free there, and it would be to where it would be adequate for close to the field house. This multipurpose, I failed to say in my presentation that it also would have a weight room, a new weight room. Right now, currently, it's very tight fitting there. We would relocate the weight room to be used for male and female, and that would be close to the dressing rooms, so it would be right across. The fine arts, we're looking at off of the Express Frontage Road by the Freddie Fender Water Tower.
By
There's-
Garza Elementary?
Yes, right behind the Garza Elementary. Currently there, we're looking to see if the soil and so forth is adept to having a building that size. And the aquatic center could be possibility adjoining in the same area, or it could be also looking at off of VMA. There's a lot of land in the east side parking lot, and we could utilize the parking area, so we wouldn't have to build it. But it's still to be determined.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Jonah Garza, and you guys just answered one of my questions, but Would there be any sort of public use like theater or would it just be strictly for the school district?
Yes, with interlocal, we're looking at maybe partnershiping with the city in regards to the aquatic center. If we could come in terms and having a MOU with them so that it could be open, maybe the citizens could use it during the summer months. Our facilities, we do have, our current facilities are used of public also. They go through the rental of facilities, and they're open. So yes, if it would meet the criteria, that would be open to them through our facility rental.
And it would be through all 3 locations or just strictly on the aquatic and the fine arts?
All our facilities right now, they have their guidelines, but if you're interested in renting this area for a specific event, we have a rental facility.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Oh, my God. Yes, that's fine.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I guess age before beauty. Okay, Mary Salinas from San Benito. You mentioned that you would be offering swimming classes for the second graders, and I would think that that would be the first year. So will there be a continuation of the program? Because I have a second grader, and now he's going to be a third grader, so what's going to happen when he becomes a third grader? Will he continue to be able to have the swimming classes, or what's the plan? After he, does it stop? He's a second grader, he takes swimming classes, and then after that, ¿qué pasó? What happens?
Well, the curriculum is to get all the second graders, like I
I
said, it's
understand
in,
that,
right?
yes.
And the following year to continue to always have the second graders on there. It's open for activities. That was the curriculum that we started off with, and we're open for additional items that we can use it for.
Well, I'm thinking I'm a second grader. I'm going to think like a second grader now. And I get these classes. I have the opportunity to go to these classes as a second grader, but then I become a third grader and I cannot continue in the program. So I was just looking for a continuation for the possibility of a second grader learning how to swim, becoming a third grader, getting better, and continuing to get better and better so that we can continue and become competitive, so that then I can go ahead and say, well, maybe someday I will be in the Olympics. But if you only offer it as a second grader and stop there and not continue, to me, that would be a great disappointment. So that's just a comment and something for you to think about. In the performing arts, you also mentioned flamenco. And I'm like, are we already offering flamenco classes here?
Yes.
We are? We do? We do have flamenco?
We have a group.
Flamenco. Do you have folkloric?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I'm asking because it seems like I go to some of the, what is it, UTRGV, where they have presentations, and I see Roma and Rio Grande, and I see some of the others, I cannot even think, La Jolla. I don't see San Benito. I don't see San Benito performing at these other places. And I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I saw the mariachi earlier. And to be very honest, I'm disappointed at the presentation. I hope that you look at them, because now we're looking at, we're spending so much money to build, for a building, for a beautiful building. And I don't see where we're spending money right now to make this group look a whole lot better than what they did tonight. Their uniforms, they need some new uniforms. And I know that we do a lot for the athletic program, and I have nothing against the athletic program. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm all for improvement everywhere. But please do something. And I know you don't have to answer me, and I know you should not have to answer me, but please look at that mariachi group that you just presented tonight and do something about their uniforms. They need a lot of improvement. And I know that we want to be proud. We're San Benito proud. But heck, I mean, if we're going to put them out there for people to look at, let's do something about it. Let me see if I have anything else, and you can tell me to sit down whenever you want to. Let's see. Some of the questions you did answer. Let me see. I had a whole book here. I believe that you will be providing the transportation, right, for the students to go to the aquatic center. I'm sure you said that. Will you be increasing staff? Will there be an increase in staff to provide all these?
Yes.
I assume additional programs. If we're going to have better facilities,
Yes, ma'am.
we should be having more staff,
Yes, ma'am.
certified staff.
It takes, like the aquatic center, it takes somebody that is
Certified.
properly trained
Right.
in order to run the levels of the swimming pool
Okay.
and so forth, yes.
Okay, and maybe just a little bit more publicity on these wonderful programs that you say you have, like the flamenco, the folklorico, because like the mariachi program, looks like you have a conjunto program there, and this is the first time I hear of those programs.
Wednesday, Ms. Salinas, the choir is performing, I believe, here also, and that will work for the arts also. Choir besides music, and there's also shows where these kids perform besides music.
The
So
students? Are
the
you talking about
the students themselves. So there, it's multiple use other than music. We're looking at all avenue of for the kids as possible.
Well, I understand that everything is for the students and the programs, but I'm saying somehow I don't hear enough about what's going on here in San Benito. And I maybe a little bit more. I hear a lot about the football team, and I don't hear enough about what's going on in the other performing arts program. And maybe I need to hear more about that. So I guess Angel knows me well.
Thank you.
Anyway, we'll see. I have not decided yet how we're going, but thank you for your time. And anything else? Okay, there's another.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas.
Good evening. I know the bond is for 40 million, and I know that if it passes, Mrs. Mata, that means we'll have a 100 plus million, right, in debt? Is that correct? With this 40?
I'm sorry, ma'am. It was,
Yes, ma'am. Right close to 100 million.
Yes.
And that actually is not quite as high as the district's highest point of debt in the previous past. Back in 2008, I think the district had up to about 115 million at that point.
Yes, and I agree, like in the housing industry, we don't have the money, we have to borrow. What I have a problem with is the 40 million. When the board has a lot of confidence in the superintendent, and you all have said it before, that he's been here a year, and back in May, he said 26 million. And to me, he said 26 million because he probably did his homework. And like y'all said, he probably did some researching, what Harlingen did, which we don't have the enrollment of Harlingen, and I'm talking about that performing arts, that we want to go huge, 1,800. I don't know why y'all don't support the superintendent. And also, he probably looked at the aquatics, what it cost Los Fresnos, what it cost Harlingen. So with that in mind, he came up with 25 million. Then I know y'all formed a bond committee, and they came up with, and they added the sports facility. That wouldn't have even been 40 million. It still would have been like maybe 26, maybe 30, maybe. But did the gentleman leave? I was at a meeting, and Dr. Carmen did insinuate with any excess monies, there will be some updates if anything was left over. And that's how I understood it. And then somebody said, well, if that's your intention, you need to let the public know, because y'all talk about transparency, and yes, you need to let us know if that's the purpose, to have the 40 million to do your 3 projects and do upgrades. But yeah, the performing arts cost Harlingen 9.5 million. And we're saying it's gonna cost us, what, 30? 30? The big performing arts center that the district wants to build is for school districts that have like maybe 28,000 enrollment. I wanted to ask Dr. Carmen, but since Mrs. Mata is here, do you think that the 40 million, this project, do you think that's in the best interest of the school district? Do you really think so?
Well, the 40 million came out that's the amount that it would be to keep the tax rate the same without having an increase of the taxes. We worked it backwards. What is the amount that we could keep the tax rate the same and offer and meet some of the needs of the school district? Myself, like I said, it is 40 million for the district not to increase taxes and keep it going the same. These are facilities, in my opinion, well, I can't use my opinion, but there's a need. And there wasn't only the need. I talked earlier, the bond committee explored a lot of needs. There was a long list, and I think some of the committee members are here. It was a long list, but we needed to narrow it down. At the end, bring it down to saying, how much is our max? And we came down, it's 40 million. And then it was, okay, what can we do with the 40 million? What's our limit? Just like we have budgets that we look at, these are the 3 items that the committee members felt that there was a need that San Benito should be looking at. So
Okay.
That's how it kind of came down. There's a lot of other needs. There's roofs, there's security, there's all other, a list of them that we also want to work with them, but use not the bond project money for those.
So when Dr. Carmen said 26 million, he wasn't aware of the effects of a tax increase then?
We did the 26, and we went through different scenarios. One of the scenarios is, what if we do it for 20 years? How much can we borrow? We went through the scenario is, what other avenues do we have without going through a bond? And all of them have their criteria, less money, so forth. Then we started pricing out how much some of these the bond committee is saying we wanted to accommodate, large enough to accommodate our staff for events. Well, yes, the smaller ones are less. The bigger we go, the more funds. So that was the committee recommendation that comes out, is that they would want to build one that would hold large events and our staff.
Okay. And can you give me your word that on that outdoor facility, that everybody's going to have access to it, everyone, and not just athletics, but also the band? Just like you say, everybody's not going to be a priority just for athletics.
That is the intent. That is it's an indoor facility used for multi-individuals that not just athletics. There's a multi-use. I personally have viewed one, and I've gone to see one, and it's, we think of safety also. These heat strokes, these items protect the kids from weather, giving them an opportunity, a better weight room, a larger weight room, and it's open to all the students of San Benito CISD.
I do know that La Jolla, I believe it's La Jolla, they have an enrollment of 28,000, and they have a 1,500 seat capacity, and they have more economic growth than we do. And yet we want to go 1,800 seating area. And they talk about having graduation. Well, not all this graduate, they're not going to be sitting at the auditorium. I mean, it's just, to me, just the 40, we could have stayed under 25 million, like Dr. Carmen's recommendation was. And I know the bond committee went in a different direction, but I wish the school board would have supported him on that comment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lori Flores, class of 1995, San Benito High, so I am a proud alumni. I currently have two littles at the best elementary school in San Benito, which is Dr. Cash, and I am very pleased with this presentation. I'm very excited for the future of the San Benito CISD. I don't think that there should be a limit, a small limit like what Dr. Carmen had proposed, because I think that puts a lid on the future. When I see the capacity at a larger amount than what La Jolla is, yes, La Jolla is booming, but have you been to La Jolla? La Jolla fits in San Benito, and that's because we're small. I work in direct sales, and I have from Zapata all the way down. So it's not a fair comparison, is what I'm trying to get at. And I think that if we're looking at the small numbers, then we're looking at a small future. I want what's best for my kids. I want them to be able to have the capability to come to a nice facility and perform their hearts out, not only for the district, but for the public in general. And if they want to further their acting or their theatrical, presence, I want them to be able to be open to the entire community, a facility that's open to the entire community where anybody can come and rent. You see all of these things that Brownsville does with their performing arts center and their theatrical things, and I'm excited to bring something like that to San Benito. I think that would not only help the school district, but bring economic growth to San Benito, and I think that San Benito is a nice little treasure in the valley, and it's time that something like this, somebody in the district, somebody in the city, somebody in the community stands up and raises San Benito to another level, because that's what we need. We need to be elevated. We need to grow, and I think this is the perfect opportunity. Some of my best friends live in Harlingen, and their little girl was able to use their aquatic facility last year. And she's not crying that she can't use it this year because she's a third grader. She's able to say, I know how to swim because they taught me at school. I want that for my daughter who's now in third grade and didn't have that opportunity because we live in San Benito. I want them to have that same opportunity. And if they grow up to go to the Olympics, well, I think that would take more than just Monday through Friday, 8 to 3:30 training, And as far as the facility that would be like the athletic facility, I think that is wonderful. I have a godson who currently plays for the band, and they are there Saturday morning, bright and early, rain or shine, out there playing their hearts out. They're playing in the evening, practicing when there's not football games, and they're out there in the elements, wearing their hats, carrying their instruments. So I'm really, really excited, and I want to thank you guys for going above and beyond, not only for our children of now, but for generations to come, for legacies that are already being rooted and seeded here in this community. So thank you.
Thank you.
my name is Laura Solis, and I am the class of 1987, and I am happy to be here. I am a bond member as well. But I just wanted to say, as a very proud fine arts parent, my son is in the San Benito band. I am so proud of this band. They're so awesome. Hope you guys go get to see them in Pigskin this Saturday. This is something that was we should have had a long time ago. San Benito is a great place to live. San Benito has the best students here, probably the most talented students ever. And when we don't look at the future for our students, then I don't know what we are doing here. As an educator, and actually I teach at Harlingen South right now, and as an educator, there's nothing more beautiful than to see our students succeed. If we do not look at the future for our students, then what are we doing as parents, and what are we doing in the education field? We have the board right now that's doing their best and looking for the future. That's all we want for our students and for our children. My son's not going to be able to use this. My son graduates next year. So my son will not have that a great ability to use this, but all the other students will. And I think it's something great. Thank you guys for bringing it up. Thank you for letting me be part of something like this. And as far as for the curriculum for when it comes to the swimming, everything has to be laid out. It takes time to create the curriculum. It takes time to make sure everything is covered. We can say this and we can say that, but at the bottom line, it has to equal out, or so all our kids can benefit from this. Our second graders are going to do well. The kids after them are going to do well, and it just continues on and on and on. The indoor facility is a great facility for all our students. My son is out there like all the other students, like everybody else, in the heat, and it's hot, and it's cold, and it's mosquitoes. He comes home, bites all over him, everything like this. And they're still out there, and they still perform their hearts out on Friday night or Saturday night or whatever the game is at. They're still out there. We need to continue focusing only on our students and their future, and what are they going to succeed in. I know we're talking about the fine arts being huge and everything like that, but you know what? At the end of it all, and like Lori, you said it well, why are we putting a cap to anything? We got to think big. We have to think big. We've been mediocre for years. We're like in a town that is just stuck. We have not been able to move anywhere. It's time to start moving. It's time to start focusing instead of going back and forth that, well, no, you do it, I don't want to do this. We've got to focus on our kids. Because I want my kids to come back and say, you know what, I graduated from San Benito High School. I graduated and I'm a proud San Benito alumni. I'm proud to be a San Benito alumni. I mean, we didn't have the facilities that we should have had, of course not. But we were in the 80s. You know, we had dances after the games. Here we don't have anything. You know, and that's okay because the generation of kids changed. Society has changed. We need to change with it. We can't just be stuck, our feet stuck here in cement and not move forward. Thank you guys again for bringing this up. You continue the hard work that you're doing, and go Hounds.
Hi, good evening. So I am also an alumni of San Benito High School, graduated 2003. I am a teacher for VMA in San Benito High School, and I am the proud Bells Director, San Benito High School Bells Director. I really think that these facilities are very much needed. I think that they're long overdue. But I do want some clarification because I've heard more than once that the Bells are going to get to use it, the cheer's going to get to use it. Do you mean that we're going to get to use the indoor field? Do you mean that we're going to have a separate area, like a dance studio, like BMA has? What do you mean by that?
The indoor facility is half a court with artificial turf, so it would be practicing as you do is going out on the field.
Okay.
Now, there is rooms such as a weight room, if you all do weights, and I'm not sure in the program. The batting cages, so other areas. I'm not sure if you need specific practice rooms. That's something that, you know, we haven't laid out the whole items, but the majority or the big piece is half a court or half a field, which you would see it in a football field.
So I don't know if you know this. I know some of you do. I know Miss ML has seen us. I know Mr. Madrigal has seen us. We practice in the hallway here at San Benito High School. We practice in the small little space that's between the column by the office to the side door of the library. I have 36 girls, 35 one boy. We are really long overdue for needing something. And I don't just speak for Bells, I speak for cheer. We're having to come in at 6 a.m. practices to be able to use the gym, and that's no more because now basketball has started. And don't get me wrong, the coaches are awesome with us. They work with us, they tell us their schedules, they fit us in when they can. But we are needing something for us. We are long overdue. Band hall has the band hall, choir has choir hall, theater has the black box. You know, we're kind of just in the middle. And people do lend us their facilities. Band has been very gracious to let us go in there. But I'm having to have my girls on occasion bus to VMA to use the dance studio. On Saturday practices, go to VMA because that's what's available. And I think that we're long overdue for something for these bells and cheer here. And if you can fit that in for us, we'd greatly appreciate it, because I want you to know this is not a now problem. I was a bell for 4 years when I was in high school from 99 to 2003, and I practiced on that very stage that you're at. But that doesn't work anymore because we have a huge team now. The lighting on there is not great. We do kicks, we do leaps, it's a safety hazard. So I just ask that you please keep us in mind when you're meeting with architects and you're planning something, because we don't want to be overlooked. So if you can just please keep us in mind.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Marcy
We'll put that-
Jr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mendez,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to add that if the bond does not pass, if it doesn't, it's not because a lot of the people do not want an aquatic center or performing arts. I myself, I want that. I was doing some research, and like I told Dr. Carmen, if I did some research, I'm sure a lot of other people did research. What we have a problem is the price tag of 40 million. When we know that a facility like a local school district would have built would be sufficient to take us into the years. When I called the school district, they told me, you're the only one who doesn't have an aquatic center. Oh, that really hurt me. I didn't know that. And yes, I want all of this for the students. I don't have any children. I don't have anybody that's a teacher, but I want the best for our kids. But like if I was gonna build a house, I was gonna stay within my budget. I'm not gonna overspend. I mean, and I'm all for the district, what we're spending in technology, I see all of that. If one curriculum program didn't work out, well, we're gonna get another one. We have to keep moving forward. But like I said, if it doesn't pass, it's not because we don't want these facilities, we do. It's from what I hear, it's a price tag. It's gone with it.
I didn't come prepared. These are just notes I wrote as I was sitting there. My name is Yesenia Costilla, and I too am a San Benito alum. I call them my girls. I have my girls that are in the school district, my nieces. I have one that's a cheerleader. One was a belle. She was also in band. I was in band as well, so I know exactly, you know, when you're talking about being out there in the sun, I know exactly what that's about. But that's also part of the training to be the best, to be able to perform in the heat when you're at competition and stuff like that. So I just wanted to clarify that yes, an indoor space is great to practice, but it's also great to practice outside where we match the same conditions as the competition, when we're at competition. But I did have a few questions for the gentleman from RBC Capital.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, could the state share decrease if our enrollment decreases?
The state funding formulas are built on wealth per student. So a decrease, a loss in students does impact the state funding levels.
Okay, so based on your presentation, we would be paying it off in 2047. I think that it was pretty small, but I think I saw 2047.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that when we would finish paying this off?
That's the current estimate. Now, as we get going towards a past bond, if we're able to shorten it up because interest rates are a little lower than our conservative estimates, we would look at shortening up a little bit. But the estimate that we put forth was a 30-year bond. It's very similar to the 2008 bond the district did. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, but the 2008 bond is that the one that's currently being paid off?
No, ma'am, the 1998 bond.
Okay, so that was a 20-year bond,
That was.
pretty much. Okay, so if the enrollment decreases, then we're looking at more years to pay it off, correct?
The other thing that also goes into this is we showed over time the district's tax base has continued to go up, and we would expect that to continue on. So if the amount of money that comes from the state were to go down, there's also potential for local other businesses, other new developments and things like that, San Benito to grow and to absorb that as well.
And that's a what if, though, as far as growing with businesses, and growing our tax base. Those
Yes,
are all just what ifs.
Yes, ma'am, both are. And the other thing I would also point out is that even over time, our estimates over time, the graph, I don't know if you remember the graph, but the graph also showed the debt service requirements, the annual requirements actually continue to step down over time through 2047. So if that student enrollment does fall, we should still be able to absorb that because the outstanding annual debt service requirements for the district also continues to fall as well.
Okay, and then I had another question. I think this would be for Ms. Rendon. How is our fund balance right now, ma'am? Because my understanding is that we're doing so great that our fund balance is now up to crazy amounts. And I was wondering how much of that fund balance can be used for, maybe the aquatic center, paying for the aquatic center from that, or paying for the multi-sport facility with that money instead of going into debt, Like how much could we use from the fund balance to kind of offset, having to take out this huge loan?
Our current fund balance that we closed August of last year, we closed at 29.2. We're next month in November, we'll be doing our closeout of this year. We're estimating about 7 million additional, so we should be looking around 36 million, 37 million. Some of it can be used. When we started here, one of our goals was to have at least our 3 months operating balance, and that's something TA suggests that we have at least 3 million. We run between 10 and 11 million of expenses per month, so we're there. We're at the target. Policy is that we built it up so that we have emergency, like our own budget home. We have, and something happens, we have some reserves that we can operate without the state, dependent on the state we get in a crunch. So we are where we should be. That is what we should be at 30 million.
Okay.
Some of that excess that we talked about above the 30 million is what is being considered for other needs in the district, such as not these top 3. We talked earlier that there's other additional needs such as roofs that need to be looked at, security, cameras to look at 2 additional. So there's other needs that this committee was also looking at of investing in for our kids, for our students, and using some of that excess fund balance.
Okay, and then Dr. Carmen also mentioned in an I guess a news article with the Channel 4 that because of some calendar change that we would be looking at a potential 12 million to our fund balance. Did that ever happen? Was that part of it?
It did, because we changed it. That is what was during the year. There was projects that were done, such as the renovations here at the San Benito High School, that we used some of those excess. So we didn't wait till the end. We did it throughout the year. Some of the roofs.
Was it 12 million or was it You know, how much was that? And the reason I ask is because he did mention at this Rotary meeting that whatever was left over, you know, after they built the facilities, if the bond is approved, whatever was left over, that money would be used for renovations. But he also mentioned that in the article that whatever was brought into the fund balance would be used for renovations, and I think $12 million is a lot of money. I don't know what type of renovations we're doing here. You know, is it, I'm trying to understand the numbers here. You know, is that what we're spending in renovations, 12 million?
No, not at this point on it. And the renovations could be up to the board, what they want to spend that excess money. Again, we have 3 months where we want to be, but if the board selects that they want to use it for other items, such as the swimming pool, it's at their discretion. It is available to use it at that. The only thing they need to understand is that we also want to maintain where we have a healthy fund balance set aside to meet all our other obligations. So, and yes, there's a list of, when the audit comes out, of items that we've done during that year by changing the calendar year, we took advantage of.
Okay, and then I also just wanted to mention here, I have seen the official ballot. I actually have a copy here of the ballot for the November 6th election, and it doesn't mention those renovations for excess funds. It just basically says, you know, just says about the bond, you know, and it has a question mark. I can read it if you want me to read it, but it's just a very vague. It says the issuance of $40 million in bonds and the levying of the tax in payment thereof for the construction of school buildings. That's all the ballot says.
That means that the money has to be used for construction with regard to school facilities.
And that's the levying?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We can't use it we can't use it for anything other than construction projects associated with facilities in the school district.
Okay,
It can't go
so,
for, as previously stated, it can't go for employee raises, anything like that. It has to be construction on facilities in the school district.
okay, so I'm still a little on the fence, but I'm a little more positive now about the whole bond thing. If we have any other questions, are we having another town hall, or do we just, who do we contact if we have other questions regarding the bond?
We can contact our office directly. We have information posted on our website, such as this presentation. If you want, I know there was this kind of small. Mr. Trailer's presentation is posted, polling places. But we also, if you have it direct, you can contact me directly at the business office. I'll guide you. Scheduled, we don't, but that is something that if we need to have another one between now and then, I will bring it up to Dr. Carmen and see if we can establish another town hall.
Okay, well, thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Can I say, Mr. Mendez?
Yes.
I know that Dr. Carmen, every time I email him, he always responds. He's very good about answering my questions, and I wanted to say that about him. I was going to say it at a school board meeting, but I think now is the time. Should anybody have any questions, he'll always respond. And I also wanted to say about the performing arts. A local school district that has 18,000 enrollment. We have 10.5. They have like 18.5. They built a 950 seat capacity. I just need to go over that again. 950, and it cost 9.5 million. We want to go with an 1,800 seat capacity. I just do not see that. And I asked them, is it still meeting your needs? And they said, yes, it's still meeting our needs. So, but yes, Dr. Carmen's very good about responding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you all. I'm going to go ahead and say a couple of words, and thank you all again for the opportunity for us to share our ideas and our hopes for our district. A couple of things that I learned today, and it really is, it resonates with what my beliefs are for our community. I myself am from San Benito, probably die in San Benito, get buried in Montemeta and whatnot. And at the end of the day, what is it that we're leaving behind for our kids? That question I always ask myself. What are we leaving behind for our kids? A couple of things that actually came out, and in regards to some of the programming, this is an opportunity for us to enhance all programs. No. This is an opportunity to enhance all programs and set a new standard, a new image standard for San Benito. It is true, the young lady that mentioned about how other districts or other communities have pretty much grown because their minds really were thinking outside the box. I am a true believer of that, because the best thing to do is to improve economic development is to invest in the community. The facilities that we are embarking on is not so much just for our students, but it is for our community. It's for our community to grow and to begin pretty much laying out a footprint for the rest of the Rio Grande Valley. We look to our south and we look to our north, or northwest, I should say, and there is growth. There is growth, and San Benito is a jewel. It's a jewel that not too many people have actually really come in and made some major investments. By strategizing and putting these buildings in the right place in our community, it can improve not only our quality of life, but our economic development. Another item that I wanted to make sure that I touch on, and this came from the young lady talking about bells. One of the things that I started writing, because I have my kids as well, and they all participated in extracurricular activities, and definitely we saw how bells were dancing in the hallway, and how some of the cheerleaders are also in hallway A. One of the things that I've always seen or imagined was a multi-purpose facility that it would allow the cheer, the bells, the band, the choir, flags, to come together in a facility to really showcase or at least see that movement of what's happening in our district. There are comments out there that we don't share enough information about our district. It's true, but that's going to change. That's definitely changing today, and it's been changing for the past year. Because we've also started to invest in communication on that item. Regarding the facility on the performing arts, one of the things that I've dreamed of is to see our kids, and I say our kids because they belong to our community, like the conjunto, the flamenco, guitar, jazz band, dance studio, even theater, to go out and perform for the community as a whole. And not only that, I know that we just lost our Narciso Martinez to our neighboring district, but why not begin that partnership with our city and begin bringing those type of opportunities back into our community and begin increasing our economic development. So, from my being a board member, it's been a very interesting, I should say, walk and run. But one of the things that I did learn and have learned, and I've always been making sure that things occur, is that I am your representative, and I will be a good steward on your tax monies. I am also a taxpayer here in San Benito, and I can assure you that I will always be a good steward on the way the funding is being spent. And if we don't use the $40 million as a whole, rest assured that that money will go to improving our facilities and to make sure that every activity, every organization is somehow represented in our district. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, I have a couple of words, or a couple of comments. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for coming, and I want to thank all the people that it's not easy to stand up and comment on whether, you know, you're for it or against it, or have concerns and so on and so forth. But that's what this is for. This is part of the transparency that this board brings to the table, and that's one of the things that we set forth moving forward from the beginning. I personally feel, speaking for myself, that it's a pleasure and an honor to sit here before you and represent each and every one of you here. As a parent, as a taxpayer, when this came about, you know, we have so much to be grateful for, and it's an honor for me to see the facilities, to be a board member, and have access to every single school that we have here, and so on and so forth. And in my opinion, these facilities are greatly needed in our district. You know, as far as the bonds are concerned, you know, from me educating myself, the bonds are nothing new to our district. It's just a loan. So that being said, our kids deserve the best. You know, we have the multitude of different programs and different extracurricular activities that our kids excel at. And it's really saddening that, you know, that we have people say that, you know, they don't hear it enough and so on and so forth. But like Mr. Mendez reiterated, I'm going to reiterate what Mr. Mendez said. You know, we will continue to push the pride of San Benito, which is our kids, and we will continue to make San Benito the gold standard and to prove to the parents that San Benito is the best school district in the Rio Grande Valley. And if that means that we have to, you know, push these facilities, then so be it. But our kids deserve the best because they've produced under the circumstances. So thank you all very much, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you all again for coming out tonight. We appreciate you all's attendance. Item number 6 is adjournment at 8 o'clock. Thank you.